It's definitely Dean's surfboard.
Yes, I know. Why did you take it? If you moved yourself, why did you take it?
All right, so then after a year, what happens?
Here's the picture.
What is this a picture of? Just a reflection through the window?
The plaintiff claims that his landlord never paid the bills on time, and he went without heat, electricity, cable, and internet on numerous occasions, so he moved out. Now, he's being denied a security deposit despite not damaging anything, and he wants his money back.
Court next case on the docket. The plaintiff says the defendant was such a horrible landlord and such a deadbeat he had to go without TV and electricity. But the defendant says the heat was never shut off and the plaintiff damaged his joint. It's the case of the heat is off.
The defendant argues that the plaintiff is a gross exaggerator, but the plaintiff stole his surfboard and is responsible for damages. The defendant is suing for travel costs and missed work.
All right. Your rent was how much a month? $1,000 a month?
Well, the
No, $1,300 including
Yes.
utilities.
Correct. 1,000 was the original, and then 1,300 with utilities.
Okay.
And-
So how'd that work out for you?
Very poorly. I wish I had switched the utilities over because Mr. Soprano owed, just for the electric, owed over $1,000, and it was cut off the very next day after I had moved into the property.
Okay. And how did you find that out?
The plaintiff claims meeting the defendant for the apartment was one of the biggest mistakes he's ever made. Just one night after he moved into the house, the water and electricity was cut off because the defendant owed so much money. And when he called to make a complaint that he didn't have electricity for 5 days, the defendant wouldn't answer.
Jersey
Where
Power
was
and
he
Light.
that you couldn't reach him for 5 days?
He was up in Saratoga, New York, is
Well,
what I
difference is
understood.
there's phones in Saratoga. Was he trying to reach you for 5 days because the power was off?
I don't believe so, no. I actually have statements from all my utility companies showing that the power wasn't off. There was an issue
He
with...
says the power was off as soon as he moved in the next day and that he tried to reach you. Does anybody have the statements that would show when power was turned off and turned on?
I have the post-termination.
It's very obvious that the plaintiff isn't lying here. What good would that do? He's been done wrong, and he's trying to get justice. But unfortunately, the defendant is not ready to take responsibility.
State litigation ensued, and so a lengthy one. All the utilities were in my name, so it's ultimately my responsibility, but there's a court-appointed executive that's supposed to be handling the payment of the utilities, and obviously that wasn't done in time.
Yeah, but if that's utilities that you're using, why is the court administrator?
That's just the settlement, that's just the court order, the settlement that we reached.
So ultimately, all of these bills that aren't getting paid are those bills that, if they were paid, who paid them? You or the administrator?
It's always someone else's fault with the defendant. He knows he's meant to pay it because it's in his name, but he's waiting for a fairy godmother to pay the bills for a house that's in his name. Worse yet, after all he's put the plaintiff through, he won't return a security deposit, even after he left the house.
All these pictures of the home saying, well, thinking at some time in the future we can at least meet and discuss that.
Okay. So you took all the pictures of the home for what reason? To show the condition you left it in?
Correct.
Okay. So let me see those pictures. And you took the surfboard and some other items. Why? For good measure?
Well, no, those were actually...
For leverage?
They were in my storage unit, Your Honor. When I went to the property and first rented it, Mr. Soprano was very, very friendly and open.
The mistake the plaintiff made was taking a surfboard. That is the whole reason for the counterclaim. But I honestly can't blame him for it. I'm sure those 6 months were hell in the apartment with the defendant as a landlord.
I understand if you did. Just tell me. Yeah, nobody's going to understand better than he does. All right. I'm sure it'll all work out. Please let me know when you have the deposit money to send. I will drive to New Jersey Shore when I receive the certified funds. That's
Right.
exactly
So
what you
send him
did.
a check.
Of course you took it as collateral because you don't trust him. And can you blame the guy? Because even you say you can't blame the guy. Well, I thought you were going to be in town soon. Please let me know when you would like to come by and settle up. I've been ready. He says, I thought you were going to send my mail the deposit. Honestly, no reason for me to make the drive till I get the check.
They made a date to make the exchange, surfboard for a security deposit, but they couldn't even get that right. All they do is text and text, but the texts never solve anything because there's an excuse for the defendant to bail.
Reach you all day and you're not responding. Good morning, I'm at the storage unit. Here's your stuff. Call me to pick up. Hey, are you in Lavalette today? Dean.
Do you want to ask him what happened?
Hour after hour after hour. So yeah, what happened? I'm asking you.
They finally agree to meet up at his house, but the defendant claims he's broke and he would get the money to him by 2. 2 came and he heard nothing from him. Several calls and nothing, which is the reason he brought him to court. He can't trust his words.
Trust you or your word when it comes to money. Okay? So, based on what I am listening to, I am going to order you to return the entire security deposit him of the $900. You don't get your first and last month's rent. You lived that. I am going to, on your counterclaim, for $1,850. Here is the surfboard, and here are some items that he says he accidentally took. Those are going to be returned to you today.
The plaintiff, Paula Smith, says she moved into the defendant's property because she seemed nice, but she turned out to be a nightmare. The plaintiff moved out because of the stress, but the plaintiff won't return her security. She's suing for her money back. The defendant tells a different story.
She says the property she rented to the plaintiff was brand spanking new. Everything had to be redone. Once she moved out and went to do the walkthrough, she was astonished at the level of damage this woman caused to her beautiful new place. Give her back her security for completely destroying her property? She thinks not.
The plaintiff claims when she met her, she was nice, but later into their relationship, she started to get arrogant. For example, saying "my" when referring to the house. I understand how that might annoy her, but it's still her house.
That's a conclusion on your part. I'd like facts.
Okay, she was, the way she talked to me.
Okay, that's again a conclusion. Tell me what she said.
For example, if I would tell her about the house, she'll say, "You tore up my house."
You tore up my house?
My house. It was always my house, my this, my that.
Well, it is her house, but...
Yes, but, I mean...
What were the problems that you had with her after she moved in? Did you have some kind of problem or...
The defendant claims she doesn't have to give her back the security deposit because she caused a lot of damage to the house when she left. Before she gave her the house, she had completely renovated everything in the house, but after a year, it all went to ruins.
And then I have pictures when she moved out.
Yeah, the pictures are great. The place is perfect. Was this a new appliance or no?
Everything was new in the house.
So that's a new stove?
Yes.
All right, so then after a year, what happens?
Here's the picture.
What is this a picture of? Just a reflection through the window?
It's just a reflection.
Okay.
It's just another room of...
And when she leaves...
Yes, that's the garbage that the last tenants had to bag up and put on the front because they don't collect it on the side.
The defendant brings another tenant who moved into the house after the plaintiff as a witness. She claims the plaintiff left trash at the back of the house where the city won't be able to pick it up, and it stayed there for weeks. Here's her excuse.
Why did you leave it there?
Okay, when I moved out and she was, I had to leave because she wanted me out before the 29th was the last month of the last day of that month. She said the next day.
Stop. It's September.
I mean September. I'm sorry.
So
I'm
there
just
are
a little
30
nervous.
days in September,
Okay,
right? So it's the 30th is the last day, and
Well,
that's not rushing you. You rushed yourself by not planning ahead.
She broke the mailbox and also didn't take care of the lawn. In the lease, she's meant to take care of the lawn, but she didn't do it even when she was leaving.
Before I moved in, passed by the house.
You know
and
your
see.
lease says you're responsible for maintaining the lawn, right?
Okay, but it came back up. I got pictures of showing that it.
Show me proof that when you left, the lawn came back up.
Okay.
Because
That's
these
the day of
pictures
the
are
picture.
taken
On the day of October 1st.
on the day that you left, supposedly.
And that's just the outside. When you go inside, you see the walls are damaged and the stoves are rusty after just being used for a year.
Is behind it. The receipt on top is the actual, he cut the grass that day that
Yep.
he had to come out because she didn't cut the grass before she left. That happened. Hold on, I have these pictures. I know I have it.
Okay. I believe that you are entitled, certainly, to withhold some of the...
Their relationship was quite odd because they didn't like each other very much. So if the plaintiff complained about something, it feels like she's being rude. And when the defendant asserts that it is her house, it's like she's undermining her. It's always a struggle with them.
kind of thing. What would have happened if she had notified you? What would you have done?
In regards to?
The leak.
I would have sent somebody over to fix it like I always do.
At your cost?
Yes, ma'am.
So why does she have to pay for it?
Because of the damage she caused by not telling me about the leak in this
Right,
mold
but the
all in the
$85
house.
is the plumber's fee. It's not the cost to put new plywood
But in my
down.
lease agreement, if you look on there, she's responsible for small repairs like plumbing and things of that
And
nature
I
as
saw
well.
that. I'm kind of surprised Section 8 allows that. But
They have some psychological war between them. So after the first half of the year has gone by, she would no longer call when she needed something, which would cause more damage. But the damage wouldn't warrant her to keep all of the security deposit.
of it, and I'm ordering you based on the damages that I see, based on the repairs that should have been done, based on the grass. I'm allowing you to keep $600 of the security deposit, and I'm ordering you to return $285 to the plaintiff.
The plaintiff says her careless neighbor started a fire, and burning debris damaged her car. She claims he backed out of his promise to cover the cost of fixing it, so she's suing the landlord. The defendant says there were no damages, and claims the plaintiff is just looking for a free paint job.
Owners with
Co-owner?
parents.
Okay.
Co-owners, yeah.
For $3,409.42, an estimate for a car repair that you say is his fault. What happened?
Your Honor, I don't know who this gentleman is, but
I rent an apartment in Hartford from Mr. Mitlinsky in 2015. And in 2017, there was a fire in a unit.
A fire had started, and the fire department broke out the windows. The person running the apartment had kept something on the stove, and the fire broke out. And it's to her knowledge that the same tenant has caused 2 fires before that. And the person who owned the apartment happened to be a father of the defendant.
You informed them that what?
That this tenant had started 2 other fires.
Did that tenant start 2 other fires?
Not that I know of.
Okay, do you have any proof that tenant started 2 other?
The building manager.
No, I'm asking you because you've got to prove the things you're saying.
No, I don't have
Do you have
proof.
any proof that you notified them that he had started 2 fires?
I have proof that I've spoken to him on speakerphone and my witness has heard him. And
She brought a witness who was with her when the fire started. The witness claimed she saw the fire department was hitting glass and in turn fell onto her car. She was also there when the plaintiff made a call to the defendant's parents about the neighbor who started a fire and also made demands for the repairs.
It was mainly about the damages for the car and the estimate. He felt that she was unreasonable with that estimate. He offered her $400.
He who?
Mr. Mitlitzy.
The father.
The father, yes. Okay. He offered her $400. She said that was unreasonable.
The defendant claims that she had sent someone to check it out and wash the car for her, and they came back saying it was fine. He even went to see the car recently, and he didn't see anything wrong with it.
Away from the responsibility of repairing the car, we just didn't see anything else, anything to fix on the car. There's just nothing, there was no damage to the car, and like I said,
Why does your car look so good here?
Your Honor, here's the pictures of my car.
Because his pictures don't show any damage, I guess, from a distance.
Well, there was nothing, but when you move closer, there are holes in the metal on top of the car and the sides. The plaintiff says it didn't have to go this way because when it happened, she had told the defendant's father to do it through insurance, but he refused to pay it under her own car insurance. He wanted to pay it under his building insurance.
Insurance that would cover that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And you have not taken it to your insurance?
No.
All right. Whatever happened with the tenant?
The tenant actually ended up costing us money. He ended up being a nuisance, and we ended up paying.
He caused a fire!
Yeah, and we ended up paying.
Professionals have looked at the car, and they don't know exactly what the plaintiff wants because they felt nothing was wrong with the car. So technically, it's not the defendant's fault because they're following professional advice, but it's not really their fault for the damages legally. She should be suing the careless tenant.
I'm sorry he was rude. I'm sorry that your neighbor is a careless idiot. I'm trying to figure out how that creates a legal liability on the owners of the building. I know that there's no question, you've been able to prove that he promised to pay it.
There's no legal liability. No contract that claims the defendant would pay for the damages of the car. He only promised, and a promise isn't a contract.
I just believe that had I known, we should have went through insurances. But he had reassured me.
Well,
but he said to me on the phone that the reason why he does.
The judge pushed the court in recess to find out if her insurance can fix the damages. She changed insurance companies a few years back, and the previous company could have a policy that might allow her to repair the damages. And that's what they want to check. Well, luckily she can, but at a price.
You are able to still
yes,
make
I am,
a claim.
with a $500 deductible.
Right.
My question is when all this was set, why send me out for an estimate and all that other stuff? When the estimate came at that amount, that's when all the problems started.
I know.
This is a difficult case because both parties are blameless. The only person to blame is the person who started the fire. The law can't award her the money, but her insurance can.
I don't even know why they would keep somebody who'd caused 2 fires. So based on the circumstances that are in front of me, I am ruling in favor of the defense.